So as you come into your seat, as I was just saying, the yoga of not being in denial, I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's kind of liberating. As we were just talking about emotions also, that emotions can either help us to have energy or they can take energy from us. So you're welcome to rest your hands in your lap or hands on your heart, one hand on the heart, one on the belly. You maybe want to wrap yourself, whatever is appropriate. You're welcome to close your eyes. You're also welcome to keep your gaze open, but to have it be less distracting, let it be kind of unfocused. Maybe resting on one thing, but not trying to bring that thing into crystal focus. Lengthen up through your spine and kind of set the temple of your body. In the mornings, the temple keeper opens the doors of the temple. You can imagine this also as a process within your body. So you lengthen up through your spine, let your breath start to deepen, become more even. And then consider the inner process that you, at least at some point in your life, have succumbed to. Maybe it was one small, rare occasion. Maybe it was more frequently. The experience of allowing yourself inside to be in denial about something. Like in an active sense. You knew something wasn't good for you, a certain activity, a certain food, a certain routine, a certain conversation, the pursuit of something, and you had an inner sense it wasn't really in your best interest. It wasn't for your highest good or even your medium level good. It was something that you might have been using to placate or sedate, distract from something else. The distraction is often away from pain or to help placate uncertainty or ambivalence. So just considering that, when I ask you to bring that to mind, notice how your body responds, that there are likely sensations that come in the body. Notice your relationship to those sensations this morning. Since you've come for yoga practice, it's possible that those sensations today, you might feel some aversion towards or some wisdom about not wanting to keep recreating that sort of sensory emotional place in you, because inevitably it does block energy or vitality. Denial also has this unfortunate postponement strategy where at some point we do wake up more painfully to the thing that we're trying to avoid. So now invite yourself into the courage you already have as a yogi. You're on the path of being honest and practicing integrity and ethics and responsibility with yourself and with others. So let your breath start to reflect that within your body. And notice the feeling tone of that intention, of really just recognizing that you already have a courageous heart, you already have a desire for understanding or integrity, or to be honest, forthright, or clear. You may struggle at times with knowing how to do that, but the seeds of that longing are likely already in your heart since you're here on the path of yoga. And please bring your hands into Anjali Mudra now. And let's chant Asatoma Satgamaya. So we're saying in this chant, may we be able to discern what is useful, what is not useful. Can we discern what is skillful, what is not skillful? Specifically, we're saying, may we know that which is true, that which is untrue, that which is real, that which is unreal, that which causes tamas or ignorance, that which brings jyoti or luminosity. May we know the finite from the infinite. Okay, let's sing together. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Okay, please open your eyes, and we are going to come up to standing to do some warming up practices there. If possible, I'll get my hair off my face so I can see you guys better. So please rise up to standing, and we're going to start in a basic horse stance for a couple of sort of more Qi Gong-like activities. Let me just get that camera set. Okay, one more adjustment. Alrighty, great. So you take a stance like in horse stance, so your feet can be the width of a yoga mat. I would recommend that. And bend your knees, turn your toes slightly out. So as if you were riding a horse. And then we're just going to swing the arms to get started. Let me ask you to swing back with fists and to open your fingers when they come forward. And feel for the momentum that's just very natural to your own body. The rhythm that's yours. We are going to be adding a brisk inhale and exhale with this. And you might find that the briskness of that speeds up your arms. It'll be inhale back and exhale forward like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your arms swing. They'll become still. Now straighten your legs. Inhale, raise your arms up, breathe in through the nose. You bend both knees. Exhale, come down to a ragdoll position like you're sighing. Inhale, glide your heart forward without the use of your arms. So let it be the breath. And then exhale like you're sighing. Release down towards the floor. You shift your hands to your hips. Rise up to standing. Take both arms and shake them. We'll start out in front. This is actually, it's called slug shaking, as if you had a slug on each hand and you're trying to shake it off. Take it up overhead. And the shaking is meant to bring circulation back out to your hands, even though they're overhead. Let's go out to the side. And then imagine the slugs are very attached to your hands and you're going to have to shake them off vigorously. So 1, 2, 3. Let the arms dangle. And notice the echo of that in your hands and arms. Now arm swings again. Please bend your knees. Point the toes out slightly. Fists back, fingers forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your arms swing until they're almost still. You can straighten your legs. Okay, inhale, raise your arms up. Palms facing each other. Exhale, come down and forward like a rag doll. Inhale, lift your torso by using the breath, not your arms. And exhale, release down like a rag doll. And allow your body several breath cycles just simply to feel in to your body, your emotions, your mood. And see if you might allow for there to be even like variation, maybe sometimes co-arising feelings that even seem to compete with each other. Much like the open sky, we want to allow what is passing through, what is emerging, what is arising. Reach your hands up to your knees, press down against both knees, and rise up to standing. Can I have that, please? Oh, that's mine. And come into your jazz stance warm-up pose. So this is where we take a relatively wide stance. And I'm going to ask you to press out with your hands against your knees and check that you're stable enough that you could pick up one heel at a time. So don't take a stance so wide that you can't do that. And we're going to begin by just gazing slightly down and forward. So the back of the neck can be long. Root your tailbone. And come into your Ujjayi breath now. So that's a whispering, silky sound to the breath that you'll hear with the inner ear. You can picture the inhale coming up the back hemisphere of your body, so like the back hemisphere of your pelvic floor, your sacrum, the back of your waist, the back of your heart, even the back of your shoulder blades. Let's imagine the exhale coming up the front hemisphere of the body. So the front hemisphere of your pelvic floor, the front hemisphere of the low belly, mid belly, even into the upper chest, at the top of the sternum. Now, keeping as much as possible stable, lift only your right heel. Now that is going to cause you to change the dynamic with your right arm and your right shoulder. Notice the change also at your pelvic floor. And then exhale, lay the right heel back down and pick up your left heel. And as you pick up the left heel, notice how the left hemisphere of the pelvic floor changes. And the left side waist may change and the left shoulder. But the changes are driven by the left heel, not by the other parts. And exhale, lay that one back down. Now turn your left hand in and twist to your right. And as you're twisting to the right, gaze over your right shoulder, lengthen your left inner thigh, and do your best to keep the Ujjayi breath really smooth. And then let's inhale to center, turn your right fingers in, and exhale, twist to your left. Stretch your right inner thigh and do your best to breathe smoothly. And then inhale to center and straighten both legs. You're going to rise up to standing and we'll go toe, heel into mountain pose. And when you arrive in mountain pose, stand quietly like a mountain. The apex of the mountain, open to the vast sky, whatever is passing through. The base of the mountain, welcoming all travelers, human and animals, all creatures. Now, some of you are going to want to have a couple of blocks for the next sequence, and I'll show it to you. You can watch. If you know it already, you can come with me. So we're going to be doing some moving side to side with the hips and the pelvis. One of my intentions is to help your pelvis and therefore pelvic floor to also be more supple. So that's the base of the spine and the root of the chakra system. So we come down to Prasarita Paratanasana. I'll have blocks just in case you want to see what that looks like. You could put them under your hands, for example. So this is one of our positions. Another position is that we lift the torso up, and then we bend one knee deeply and come down to that side. We'll come back up to center. We'll bend to the other side. As we go side to side, you may find that you come down and you also raise an arm or both. And as we go side to side, there's going to be the option of coming down like you're squatting on this side. So you'll pick up the heel and you'll lengthen the leg here and pick up those toes. So this is like a little improvisation of sorts. Let's begin at the center together. Breathe in through your nose and lengthen your spine. And then exhale and bow down towards the center of your legs in Prasarita Paratanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. And then exhale, bend your left knee deeply. Come down to the left, press into your heel. Inhale, rise to center. Press into your left leg for strength. Exhale, come down to your right, keeping your right heel grounded. Inhale, press down, come to center. Exhale to bow towards the legs, Prasarita Paratanasana. Inhale, glide forward, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bend your left knee, perhaps sweep your left arm out to the side. Inhale, glide up to center. Exhale, down to your right, perhaps take your right arm out to the side. Inhale, glide up to center. And exhale down to Prasarita Paratanasana. Again, inhale, glide forward, energize your leg muscles. As you exhale, come down to your left. Perhaps you'll take both arms out to the side. Inhale up to center. You might touch the blocks for support. And then exhale, glide down to your right. And you may take both arms out to the side. Inhale, glide up. And exhale, Prasarita Paratanasana. Once more, inhale, come forward. And this time, as you come down to your left, pick up the toes of your right foot and squat into your left side. And then come back to center. And exhale, bend your right knee. So you're going to squat on the right, pick up the toes of your left foot, lengthen the inner left thigh. And then inhale, glide up to center. Let's go left again. Pivot your right toes up. Come to center. And right one more time. And rise up to center. And come down to Prasarita Paratanasana. And then walk your hands forward into downward facing dog pose. And if you don't have a crisscross mat, which is totally fine, most people don't, just turn sideways and come into your downward dog pose. And let's take notice how your hips and pelvis responded to the sequence. You may even choose to allow the hips to go side to side. Listen for the sensations of the body, what comes alive. You can even allow the moods, emotions, thoughts. They might vary as much as sensation does in the body. Inviting yourself to be present is one action. Requesting non-denial is another kind of action. With your next inhale, please come forward to table pose and take one block to kneel on in Vajrasana. Rest your hands in your lap. So yoga has a way of putting together these seeming opposites in the recommended precepts. For example, truthfulness and the absence of deceit. So we can say presence and the absence of denial. Just allowing whatever is occurring right now to have your attention. And attention is not a synonym for modification, coercion, or manipulation. So allowing whatever is occurring to just have your attention is as simply as what that means. Allowing it to be there. We're going to step into Surya Namaskar. So let's take both blocks to the front of the mat. And I'm going to ask us to use that improvisation partway through the sun salutation. So you'll see our pathway for getting there. You want to do the sun salute really badly, huh? Yeah. You could make your own sun salutation. Okay, so please rise up to standing at the front of your mat. You can place your feet between the two blocks. Set yourself up. We'll be using chair pose, revolved chair pose. We'll be stepping back to a variety of standing poses. We won't need a blanket for the knees right now, so you can clear the space behind you. Join your hands at your heart. Momentarily, just sort of scan your body for any place that's in resistance or tension or apprehension. See if you can invite it to be present. And then using your Ujjayi breath, energize your leg muscles, sweep your hands down, palms forward, rise up. Exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Bring your left arm down, inhale, twist to your right. Exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Bring your right hand down, inhale, twist to your left. Exhale, chair pose, keeping your heels, knees, and hips symmetrical. Inhale, rise up, push down to go up. A little bit of a standing back bend. And then exhale, press your arms wide, bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. Lift the base of your skull, but not your gaze. Exhale, take your left toes straight back. Root into your left toes and your right heel. Inhale, glide up, crescent lunge. You now exhale, glide forward with your left arm and reach back with your right arm. Inhale, glide up, raise both arms. Exhale, glide forward, left arm forward, right arm back. Keep your right hip and leg steady, please. Inhale, glide up. And last one, exhale, glide forward, right arm back. Touch the two blocks. Inhale, please step forward. And exhale to bow towards your legs. Energize your leg muscles. Inhale, heart forward. And now take the right toes back. Press into your left heel. Let's inhale, glide up, crescent lunge. Keep your right butt strong, right hip steady. And then exhale, and you glide forward. Take your right arm forward, left arm back. Keep the left hip steady, left heel grounded. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, glide forward. This is adding a cross crawl pattern into your practice right here. So inhale, rise up. Last one, exhale forward. A cross crawl practice is to help the cross hemisphere, touch the blocks please. Downward dog. To help the cross hemisphere patterns of the brain. And this is actually very important when you think of emotions and moods and strategies. Let's inhale forward to plank pose. Gaze down between your thumbs. Then inhale to cow pose. Touch your knees down, bring your heart forward. And then exhale, glide your hips forward, point your toes. You come to seal pose. Yeah. And then inhale, come forward to cobra pose. Shoulders back. Yeah. Now again, inhale, rise up, seal pose. Exhale, of course. Then inhale to plank pose. And exhale, reach backwards, downward facing dog pose. Let's do that again. Inhale forward to plank pose. So these are symmetrical poses. There isn't a cross crawl in here. Inhale to cow pose. You arch the spine, bring your heart forward. Exhale while you're here. Inhale, glide your hips forward, point your toes. Seal pose. Exhale, cobra pose. This time let's inhale in cobra pose. And now try exhale up to seal pose. Inhale while you're here. And exhale up to plank pose. And this time inhale backwards to downward facing dog pose. Exhale, right foot forward. This is for the crescent lunge again. Let's inhale, glide up. And now exhale, warrior two. The work we did earlier with the hips and legs, I hope sets you up here for your warrior two to have stamina. And what we're going to do is keeping the right arm steady and your left leg and heel steady. When you inhale, reach your left arm forward as if it could match your right. It's not going to match because you're not turning your pelvis. So you're stretching the upper back on the left side. That's your inhale. Then exhale, pull your elbow back, reach your hand back. Inhale, bring it forward and wide. Exhale, pull back, left elbow, left arm, left fingers. Inhale, glide forward. Good. Exhale, glide back, like you're the archer on the battlefield. Inhale, left arm forward. This time, exhale, pull back, reach back with your left arm, and now rise up with your right arm. And please windmill your arms over your right leg. Touch the floor, pick up your back heel, and step forward. And exhale, bow towards the legs. Okay, second side of that sequence, let's inhale, bring your spine forward, please. And then take your right toes back, so that's for your basic lunge or crescent lunge. Inhale, rise up. Good. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, right arm forward. I don't expect your arms can match there. Exhale, pull your elbow back, hand back, open the chest and the heart. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, draw back. Inhale, forward. Keep your legs steady, please. Exhale, pull back. Last one. Now turn your left hand skyward. Inhale to go up. Yes, thank you. And then exhale, windmill the arms over. And step forward, please, with your in-breath. Exhale to bow towards your legs. Inhale, rise up. Okay, now we're going to start adding the improvisation from earlier. So come to your heart, please. So this is the beginning of the sun salutation that's more customary. And then we're going to improvise here and there. So let's start with inhale, rise up on your tiptoes. So this mountain pose, you're going up. Now keep your heels lifted and come to chair pose. You have to keep your balance. Inhale, rise up, tippy toe pose. Now exhale, take the heels down really slowly. So at the bottom of your Uttanasana, your heels are finding their full sense of grounding. Inhale, glide forward. Okay, exhale, take your left toes back, pivot your left heel down. And remember when we were on the ground earlier, turn your right toes slightly in and shift to your right. Okay, so here's the inhale. Come to center. Exhale, go left. Inhale, center. Exhale, go right. This time take the left arm towards the right arm. Inhale, center, sweep your arms wide. Exhale, go left, reach your right arm towards your left. Inhale, rise to center. Exhale, reach to your right. And then inhale, pivot back to your basic lunge pose. Pivot on the toes and the heels. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, take your right toes back, pivot your heel to the floor. Turn your left foot in slightly, arms wide. Inhale to center. Exhale, glide right. Inhale, center. Okay, exhale, glide to your left and sweep your right arm towards your left. Inhale, center. Exhale, glide right. Take your left arm with you. Inhale, rise up to center. And then exhale, glide to your left and pivot. Step backwards, please. Downward facing dog pose. Notice any heat that might have generated in your body. And let's inhale to plank, which is also a heating pose. And then inhale to cow pose. Bring your heart forward. Also exhale in cow pose, please. And then inhale, slide your hips forward to seal pose. Let's exhale to cobra. Yeah. Okay, inhale, rise up, seal pose. Exhale, plank pose. This time through the exhale process. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. And now exhale your right foot forward, left foot forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale your hands to your heart. Again, practice giving attention to each thing that's arising. So there's becoming present to what is, and there's also not being in denial towards what is. Which means we're resisting the human temptations for co-opting, justifying, manipulating, diverting, distracting. Now we're going to add the improv of the squatting part of that sequence. So let's inhale, rise up to your tiptoes, please. And then exhale, chair pose on your tiptoes. Now inhale, go back up, tippy toe pose. And exhale, come down slowly so your heels will reach the floor at the bottom of your exhale. Now please try this here while you have your blocks. Inhale, bring your heart forward, raise your heels. And then exhale, come down to squat with the heels lifted. Just try that part. Check your functioning. Your ankles, knees, and hips are functioning. I know those of you who have knee replacements cannot bend this deeply, so you can improvise. Make the knees symmetrical. So however much one knee doesn't bend, let them match, okay? And then inhale, heels lifted, Uttanasana. And now exhale, step backwards with your left foot. Go ahead and put the right heel down. Remind yourself you're going to turn the right foot in, make the left foot parallel to the right. And here we go. Inhale to center. And then exhale, come down to your left. You're going to pick up the left heel, rotate your right leg so the toes point up. Okay, and then press down into your left foot, and come up to center. And exhale for the other side. So you come down, you are squatting, roll the left toes up, lengthen your left inner thigh. Feel free to use your hands on the floor if you need them. Exhale, go left. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, go right. And then inhale, twist around to your basic lunge, pivot your back heel up. Okay, let's try the other side. Inhale, step forward. The other side is a weird thing to say because it's really the same side, but we're gonna step back with the right foot and make the transition to your right. Inhale, center. Exhale, come down to your right. Pick up the toes of your left foot. Inhale, rise to center. Exhale, down to your left. Hi, honey. You're having some sneezes. Inhale, rise up to center. Exhale, right. Last one to the right. Inhale, center. And last one to the left. And then pivot, rotate around to your basic lunge and step backwards to downward dog pose. And you may again notice that there's some heat that gets released from your body. And now last time, inhale forward to plank. Inhale to cow pose. Exhale while you're here. Inhale, seal pose. Exhale, forward and down to cobra. Inhale up to seal. And now exhale back to child's pose. And take one block for your head. The other block you can set aside. So when you come to child's pose, open the knees as much as you need to give space for the belly to breathe. Invite your breathing and your heart rate to both settle down towards homeostasis. And then walk your hands back to your knees and let's come to Vajrasana, please. So before you get settled on the way, please reach for your blankets. You'll have them at the ready. And then come over to Vajrasana. Means thunderbolt pose, Vajrasana. It's different than Virasana. You can sit directly on the heels if you want to, or you can take the block so it's flat like a little bench, or you can have it medium like this. Or whatever you might also need. Maybe you have a zazen bench and you can sit on that. You're welcome to close your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to go inside again to sense. We all know we have the capacity and the propensity for denial. Some things just seem incomprehensible. So the mind might go to denial to manage what seems like too big to understand. We also do it in small ways where we're negotiating with ourselves, not in our best interest. And see if it's possible that now from the practice, you're able to have some spaciousness around admitting, being honest with yourself that there are inclinations for denial. But you are not totally comprised of denial. That is not your totality. So it's an aspect of what we're inclined to. In yoga, we recommend that you see those aspects from a much wider view, like you're seeing them from a place that's got this expansive, wise, benevolent, honest, earnest place. And also let yourself see the part of you that's already courageous and dedicated. The part of you that's really willing. We're going to practice a couple twisting poses that we've been doing using the 2 blocks. And this, I'm intending also to be addressing the pelvis, pelvic floor. The blocks are going to go like this on a little diagonal. And I am hoping that you're going to feel some of the myofascial opportunities here. So when you place the 2 blocks, come into Badakanasana. So that you're actually sitting on the blocks, not with your tailbone, not with your sitting bones, but with the trochanter bones. So if you pick yourself up and put yourself down, you should feel like you're right on the back of the upper thigh bone. And please come forward to Badakanasana. So to see ourselves clearly, to have the capacity for that, we have to kind of be able to set aside the inner critic or the inner shame or the apprehension, the incredible distractibility. It's also helpful not just to set aside the inner critic, but to bring in our inner quality of humility and modesty. We see ourselves as also capable of the less than beautiful qualities of our minds. So as much as you're able to, let your body relax here, that the sense of your body can be like a teacher for the mind. Stay present to the sensations, don't try to manipulate them, but also look for ease where there can be ease inside the sensations. And then please rise up to sitting. So what you have is, right now, both hips are on the same height block. I'm going to ask you to lean into your left block. This is from class in the last week or two. Put the other block up on the medium setting and then sit on it also so that you're at the outside of your trochanter. So that means that when you place it, like here's the beveled edge of the block, and you place yourself, then tuck the left toes behind the right ankle. Great, and then raise your left arm, please. And twist to your right. And do your best to bring your left elbow over the outside of your right thigh. This is actually a forward bend, so I'd like you to be gazing down, coming down towards the floor. So there's a twist and there's a forward bend. And yes, you're sitting on the beveled edge of the block, so there's also this sort of myofascial opportunity here. And then raise up through your heart. Let's make it into a back bend pose. So you can keep your left arm fixed at the outside of your right knee. Press your left arm down against your right knee and raise your heart. Make a little back bend in the upper back as you twist to your right. And then roll around to center. When you come to center, just pause and let the right hip be heavy on its little beveled edge right there. Now walk the right foot tiny bit out. So when it goes out to the right, your toes and knees are pointing to the right. Please raise your right arm up and come forward. You guys, come forward over your right thigh. It's possible that your block got tipped over by a kitten. It's possible that it didn't, but do your best to keep the right sitting bone heavy towards the floor. And start rolling your right knee out to the side, rolling it out and out. So you're on the outside edge of your right foot. Stretch into your right lower back. It is again okay if the block falls to the side. It might be that instead of a kitten that your hip pushes the block over now. And then let's roll that back up to center and reach for your block to place it for Badakanasana. Come back to symmetry. And let's see how things are feeling inside. And then lean into your right block and put the left knee up. So your right foot's going to come behind your left ankle. Let's take the block under the left hip and raise it up. So it's under, it's like right between the thigh bone and the sitting bone. There's this little valley of, shall I say, musculoskeletal and myofascial juiciness. So when you rest on that spot right there, you're actually giving a massage to some trigger points and places in the body that you may not often have a relationship with. So raise your right arm. And twist to your left. Hook your right elbow over your left knee. This is a forward bend, so gaze down. And then let's bring it into a little bit of a back bend. So you're going to raise your chest and heart up. The position of your arm will slide on your knee. That would be natural. Press your right arm against your left thigh and knee and raise your chest to rotate to your left. You may even gaze like slightly up and slightly back, so there's a back bend quality. And then come around to face forward. Walk your left toes to the left so you still have support from your block. Raise your left arm up and come forward. As you walk forward, you may be finding some of the places in the muscles, the joints, the myofascial system that have been tight, or maybe even you didn't know about it. So treat those emergences, those arisings, with the quality of willingness and non-denial. Start pressing your left knee open. Perhaps your block will stay, perhaps it won't. And then rise back up to sitting. And let's take it one more time to Badakanasana. And so you put both blocks on the flat setting. Take a seat in Badakanasana. And please come forward. Notice the feeling tone of your breath in your body. And again, come to those sort of co-recommended places like willingness and non-denial, presence, non-distraction, honesty, and non-deceit, the absence of deceit, the absence of distraction, the absence of denial. We can see that we are both capable of courage, and we are also susceptible to denial. Let's rise up to sitting, please. And fold your knees up to center. Now you are going to be sitting right between those two blocks. So the sitting bones are hanging down. And yes, you're on the outside of the trochanter, and that could be tender. Yeah. Walk your hands back. Lean slightly back. Now the corners of the block right here might be, shall I say, provocative. to the muscles at the back of the pelvis and float the knees up and toes down. Okay, knees up. I'm hoping that those pointy block edges feel like a cool massage tool to you and not like torture. If it is like torture, turn the block so that there's less torture. And then let's get these 2 blankets ready. I had asked you to bring them over. So go ahead and sit on the edge of the blocks right there. It's good for you. Do I sound like your parents? Take the blanket, open it, please. Do that twice with each blanket. Okay, so there's your stack of blankets. And we're going to come up to stand on these blankets so that we can practice squatting and levitating. So to all of you who wanted to learn to levitate all this time, here is your levitation lesson. Okay, so step over your blankets so you have your heels supported and come down to squat, watching out for kittens and other creatures. So this squat, I'm going to ask you to put the knees and the armpits together, let the head relax. And then notice the inner geography of the breath. Like my hope is that your breath does come down into your pelvis, pelvic floor, into the deep low belly, because the squatting position is kind of promoting that. Now here's the pathway towards levitation. The first thing is you have to have flexible toes. So let's come forward, lift your heels from the blankets and take the knees, if possible, down towards the floor. Then put the soles of the feet together so that you roll back and you're on the outside edge of your heels and the outer arches here. The hips are not touching anything. They are hovering. That's where you're levitating. Reach the arms forward. My hope is that you don't fall backwards on the other side of your blanket. And then roll forward again so that you can bring your knees down towards the floor, stretching the toes. I know that's wonderful. Believe me, it's wonderful for me. And then bring the knees back up and return to your squatting position. We're going to do that one more time. Okay, so with a smile, take the knees out wide, bring them down towards the floor. That might be easy for some of you. I'm telling you, it's not easy for me. And then put the soles of the feet together, roll back so you're on the outside edge of your heels. Raise the arms up, you are levitating. Those of you who are in the teacher training, and we talked earlier this morning about the pelvic floor, it's a great time to notice what's happening with the pelvic floor here. Okay, and then come forward one more time. Knees can touch. And then back to squatting. I don't have flexible toes, you guys, so that's like a major yoga for me right there with the toes. Now, the importance of this sequence isn't just musculoskeletal, myofascial, or improvisation and so on. It's also what's going to happen as we release this pose. So what I'd like you to do to have the full experience of what happens is slide your blankets out of the way, put them aside, and bring yourself down onto your back. Stretch both legs out straight and observe the kind of circulation runoff that's going to go back down through your pelvis towards your feet. Notice it all the way to your toes. And let your body rest to just be noticing like recirculation through your hips, your hip joints, down through your thighs to your knees. through your shins and heels, into your ankles and your feet, and all the way to your toes. When you give your full attention to this, remind yourself, I often say, life is taking care of you. There's this tremendous gift you were granted. You have amazing structures in your body that let these circulation and innervation pathways happen. What an amazing creature you are. And please bring your knees up, arms out in a T, and take both knees down to your left. As you go to open the right upper back, chest, and shoulder, to see what contribution your hips and pelvis have made to this twist this morning. Like the release of the lower body, what has that promoted for you in the upper chest and heart? And bring your head and your hips and knees to center. And then both knees down to your right. With the same inquiry as you come down to the right, twist to your left and check and see what contribution has the lower body made now to this twist being perhaps more accessible for your chest and your heart, your left shoulder. And then allow yourself to come back to center. We have a very important opportunity here this morning because the work that you were just doing in the sequence has prepared your body for a pranayama that many of you have been working on with me. So I'd like us to go to Shavasana now and then have the time to dedicate to the inner feeling of the pranayama. So please lay your knees over your two blankets. And set yourself up to deeply rest. And I'm going to ask us to imagine that which is dissolving now in terms of the tension in the body. What we're dissolving is the habit of denial, the habit of distraction or justification, which means we are admitting to ourselves that we're capable of those things. Maybe it was a long time ago and it was just once. Maybe it was this morning. So invite your body to really deeply rest here. The magic of your practice happens in Shavasana. It may be helpful for your resting if you imagine that your gaze is down in the pelvis, in the pelvic basin, and that what you're dissolving is the tension you tend to carry there. since every one of us does tend to carry some tension in the body. And one of those most common places is in the low pelvis. So imagine you're observing the dissolving of the propensity for distraction or denial or justification. Let yourself rest in the dissolving, keeping your gaze just simply at rest in the pelvis. You're not evaluating, you're not assessing, only resting the mind while your body does the internal dissolving, reconciling, like the internal cleansing of sorts. So allow your hips and your legs to get heavier, but the inner body is incrementally becoming more spacious, a little bit lighter, less burdened, we might say it that way. Now, over the next few moments, just quietly welcome your awareness to return to your inner body. Slightly deepen your breath. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. Please bend your knees to transition to your side on your way back up to sitting. And come up to a seat that you can use for pranayama. It's a very precious pranayama, capable of helping the mind to be still. I'm going to give a little reminder here. In the teachings of yoga, when you come to the inner witness, the benevolent observer in you, that is like calling upon your Krishna on the battlefield, speaking from the Gita. From that witness, you're able to see all these varied parts of who you are without having to contract or tell a story about the parts. Also without having to put out a banner or a bumper sticker about some of your beautiful parts. So I'd like you to sit upright and to be stable. And close your eyes and listen for my words before we do the experience. So we're going to be practicing exhale suspension into Urinabanda. To do this, we're going to have an inhale. We'll have a slight suspension at the top. Then we're going to exhale completely from the lower belly, moving upwards with the exhale. We'll be squeezing the muscles that make the exhale. Then we're going to have to release those muscles very briefly, momentarily. And in that suction that begins there, we then make a pretend or mock inhalation. And that pulls on the internal musculoskeletal system to make the suction or the vacuum that is called Urinabanda. The other bandhas come with you, so Mula Bandha and Jalandhara Bandha. You're going to release that bandha in two ways. One is then toning the outer body, but releasing the inner body simultaneously, so you don't gasp. And then you'll have a refreshing inhale right there. So please sit up straight and tall. Let's do the Ujjayi breath for a short while, then we'll come to the bandha. So place the tip of your tongue behind the upper two teeth. Hollow the back of the throat and listen for your Ujjayi breath, please. And do that 3 times more, just the Ujjayi breath. Now the next time that you're beginning an inhale, think to yourself that the next exhale is going to be your preparation for this Jalandhara, Uddiyana, and Mula Bandha. Now when you exhale, squeeze the breath out from the lower, middle, and upper, and do that slowly and completely. When you get to the end of that squeeze, you're going to release the exhale muscles from the outer body, and then in the suction, make a pretend inhalation, raising that mock inhalation slowly up through the inner body. Then you tone the outer body while releasing the inner body. That prevents gasping. And you inhale to have a refreshing inhalation. And let yourself relax. We'll do that one more time. Just be at ease right now. So let your body integrate that. And then try it again. We'll do 2 Ujjayi breaths. At the second exhale, we'll come into the Bandha. The next exhale is your on-ramp to the Bandha. And then you release the bandhas before your next inhale. And then I'm going to ask you to relax into what we call the central channel. Rest into your capacity to kindly witness. Invite the possibility of great stillness for the mind. You're able to just sense all these parts may rise and pass like birds in the sky. Right now we're practicing being in the witness of whatever may rise and also that which dissolves. Please don't misinterpret that resting in your benevolent observer is not a passive stance. It's an act of opening ourselves to the consciousness through which we are able to see ourselves. Stay with the possibility of that inner quiet. So you can sense the consciousness which comes through you that lets you see you. You are the seer and the seeing and that which is being seen. And please bring your hands together at your heart. And we can chant together 3 times the Shantis. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And as you do that, I'm going to ask you to bring into your awareness that others have been practicing here with you. Each one of us practicing being forthright and honest with ourselves to see we have the seeds of denial. We have the seeds of justification. We are practicing not giving in to those inclinations. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. It's so nice to be with you. I appreciate your willingness to be in the improvisational parts as well.